We live. Oh, hey, honey, will you
You're live.
fill me
I'm
up?
not here.
I know, but you are now, and I could use a refill on my tea.
Jesus.
All right, welcome everyone to today's Daily Live, the Daily Tune In Live, the first one of 2022. I'm going to give it about 15-20 seconds for people to get on because I've got a lot of stuff for you today. And if you're here and you can type in, I would love to know where you are from. And I think that's the coolest, like not the coolest thing, but I love seeing where everybody is from when we're on here together. So when you get on here, just let me know where you're from. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay. My husband's whispering sweet nothings in my ear. They're really not that sweet. Okay. Right now, I wanted to do, hey, Jersey. Jersey's in the house. Welcome, Trish. Okay, I've got some stuff for you today. And this is probably going to be more of a lengthy daily tune-in today, simply because I really want to set the stage for this year energetically so that we have some substance to build on, but also to tap into. Give me 1 second. Honey, can you shut this door so I don't hear you? Thank you. Washington. Carly, hi, lady. Welcome. We got Washington State. We got like both ends of the United States on, New Jersey and Washington. And then another Seattle, or not another, but another Washingtonian from Seattle. Yay, this is so fun. I love this. And if you don't know, if you're watching this recording, eventually I am in Ukraine, and I posted on Instagram today about the sun coming out. And y'all, that picture that I posted, it lasted for a whole like 5 minutes. That sun was out, and the dog and Bud, my husband, and I, we went running to that window, and we stood there. We opened up the window, and we were just like, oh my God. We were so happy to see sun because we haven't seen it in weeks and weeks, and maybe even months at this point here in Ukraine. It's Ukrainian winters are just like we used to see on TV. I was telling my friend who's from Russia, back in the day when, growing up in the US in the 80s, US and Russia were having their thing, and we would see pictures or images of Russia. It was always dark and gray and barren. That's what it's like here. This used to be Russia. So that's what it looks like. But in the summer months, it's gorgeous. When we got here, it was beautiful and everything was in bloom. But man, right now it's hard to be here. It's depressing. So okay, getting to why we're here. The daily tune-in. 2022 is going to be a really, really interesting year. I have notes galore here. Again, this is going to be extended because what we're getting into is going to be the year that we really see a distinct split in realities. Okay, we've been talking through this ascension process of ascending into higher states of being, and we've been on that journey, whether consciously or not, for years now. This past year was the first year that we navigated a year with the higher frequencies of the photonic belt that we were in. Right now, we can say that almost every day we're going to get bombarded with high frequencies. We are in it now, so they're going to keep getting in more intense, and we're going to keep coming up to meet them until we finally get fully into that orbit in the photonic belt. And once we're there, then we all calibrate to it. Then we all will step into a higher reality of the fifth dimensional reality, those higher frequencies. But until we get there, there is a dynamic shift that's happening in realities. And this year is, last year was where we were kind of living it consciously. We were in consciousness. We were all shifting in our own unique ways, in our own speeds, so to speak. And this year is when we're going to really see it in the physical reality. So what I wanted to do is to go through this year in using some predictive models of events that we're seeing coming down the pipeline, and what those events are going to look like in the three different realities, and also collectively for those who are living in each reality. So you'll see where I'm going with this, but I really wanted to do a deep dive into this, because this is going to set the stage as we tune into these energies moving forward in these daily tune-ins every day. I am going to be concentrating on the higher realities of the fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional realities, which I'm going to review here. And I'm going to kind of leave behind the third dimensional realities, because we are moving out of that. That third dimensional reality is dismantling. And we're going to see a lot of that this year start to really become obvious. And that's the reality we're leaving behind. And for some of us, we've already kind of shifted out of it. And it's becoming like it's further and further away from us. But I still want to give some context to the shift in realities, because this is the year that we're all going to step back in these higher realities and just watch this unfold. It's quite fascinating. Okay. So the frequencies right now are finalizing our baseline frequencies of how we ended 2021 now individually and collectively are kind of I have my notes over here, are finalizing they're ending the download. So remember, we finished the 40-day purge. We had about the last 2 weeks or so of December, of those last 2 weeks that we were integrating everything and integrating to our baseline frequency. Those last few the last bars of a download when you're watching, I got really good at this at the last place where the internet was so bad. When I'd upload anything, it would get to like 98%, and I would just sit there and watch it, and it would take forever. But it's not going to take forever, but we're still in those last few bars, so to speak, of our individual frequencies balancing out and calibrating to our baseline frequency. That baseline frequency determines what reality you begin this part of the year in. So I made you a visual and everything. Okay, so we have our 3D world right here. This is the world that we have known in our existence. If you have remembrances of past lifetimes, you've remembered the 3D world. This is the world we've lived in for lifetimes, for millennia. Human existence has existed in this 3D world. As we know from watching the Schumann, the average frequency or vibration, there's some beautiful, oh my gosh, hold on one second, you guys, I want to show you this. This is so beautiful. Again, it's the sun, so I just want to show you. Look how, can you see the sun? It's just like shining out. Oh my God. From those clouds. I just had to show you that really quickly, because maybe I wanted to take it in, but I also wanted to see, honey, come look at the sunrise or sunset. Oh my gosh. So this is the reality that we have known, okay? From the Schumann resonance, it has, it's like sunny on here. I love it. Like, I want to get my face in it. Seriously, this is how bad I've missed the sun. The baseline frequency of the 3D planet of Earth has been at 7.8 hertz. That's been the average for the collective and for the planet. Since 2012, as we moved into that photon belt, the energy has been rising quickly and consistently. That's the word I want, consistently. So right now, the planet, the 3D planet, because we have risen, has risen to about between 8 and 9 hertz. Now, that isn't a huge rise, and it's not going to go much further than that, because of the density of the planet, and also the density of the consciousness of the collective, and what we've brought to the world, to our planet. So our planet, the planet as we have known it, is not going to grow very much more, because of the density of consciousness, the systems and the functionality of our collective and our planet has not grown. The consciousness is very, very low. So this 3D world is splitting away as she, in consciousness, the planet ascends higher and getting to this fifth dimensional realm, which the planet as a consciousness has reached this realm. We are just catching up. The consciousness, those of us, the sentient beings, human beings, animal beings, nature, are still coming up, and our consciousness is rising up to meet this new earth. The new earth is the full manifestation of the planet and all her inhabitants at these higher frequencies because of where we are in orbit in space right now. So what's going to happen this year is we are going to see 3 different levels, so to speak, of consciousness from Harry, man, why are you doing those weird spammy things in the comments? I don't understand that. But 3D worlds showing up here, okay? And then we've got the 4D world, and that's where many people are ascending into and are anchored into the 4D and working towards the fifth dimensional manifestation and reality of their physical reality in consciousness. Okay, so the 4D, we are about, on average, we have a whole collective, in a global collective of humanity, that's at about 20 hertz now in the fourth dimensional frequency. So they're much higher, rising up much higher. But you'll see there's an overlap. There's still part of this consciousness that's pulling out of this 3D world, but there's still very much an awareness still of the 3D world. But there's also this awareness of this new reality. Now, this new reality right now, because it's just the Earth's consciousness that is here. So this isn't quite anchored in physicality yet. Humanity hasn't anchored in fully yet there. Soon, but not quite yet. So this part of those of us who are ascending into these levels are still ascending with just the vision and the knowing and the consciousness and the connected consciousness to this 5D reality. But we haven't quite anchored enough people into this higher frequency yet. But this is going to be happening this year. Many people who are strongly anchored into 4D are going to be rising up into this area. Many are here, and many are going to be rising up to anchor in and build real lives, realities in this fifth dimensional frequency. Okay, this is why this year is exciting. So there's going to be many that are stuck down here because they can't get themselves out. They can't raise to the consciousness of knowing that there's more. Then there's these people. The 4D is where the work really takes place. Many of us were in this 4D dimensional reality last year, just like heads down, plowing through those higher energies, plowing through the challenges and the hurdles and all of the things that were faced in the 4D realm, so that we could anchor in and keep and end the year in the baseline frequency of in here, so that this year is when we just keep working, keep doing what we're doing. And it's easier now because we've cleared a lot of this density down here. Is this making sense? Or any questions at all up until now? Yay, Perth, Australia is here too. That's awesome. Let me know a few questions. Is this making sense so far to all of you? Okay, I'm going to take silence as a yes. Ooh, maybe. Yeah, I'm going to take it as a 5D yes, making sense. But if you have any questions, bring them to the chat. Okay. Now I'm going to start going into some of what this reality I'll be building and creating in 5D. Me too, lady. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for 5D reality. It's already showing up because the sun came out today, and it's quite a spectacular view out there right now. Not because of the sun, but because of how it's the clouds and the beams of light coming up through the clouds. I want to go now into what this is, what this might look like. I'm not, this is kind of like, I'm nervous about, not nervous about sharing this, but I want to make sure that I explain this correctly, because where we are right now in consciousness, this is, or in energy, right? The energy and the frequency of where we are, we can see that there are events coming down the pipeline, down the timeline, to then manifest in physical reality. But remember, we've got 3 different realities. So I'm going to share with what we can see, what that might look like in the 3rd dimensional reality, and what it's going to look like in the 4th and 5th dimensional reality. But as we rise up into these areas, we're going to be seeing less and less. We're going to be tuned in less and less to what's going on down here. So we may even, if we're up here and we're rising up, Trish, and those of us who are all like, yeah, we're going to keep on going. We're going to get further and further away from this frequency, this energy. So this may not even appear in our consciousness. And I have that happening already, where my husband's more into like kind of seeing what's going on in the world, and he'll be like, man, did you see this is happening? And I like, there are things that happened last year. I was like, when did that happen? I didn't even know, because I'm so tuned out of that world now. And it's not tuned out in sticking your head in the sand and ignoring things. It's just tuning in to a higher vision, to a higher frequency, and moving forward in growth. So when you grow up, you're not looking down, you're going up to like, where do I place my hand next, and where's my next handhold, and where's my foot going? So I might look down a little bit, but it's not all the way down at the bottom of the mountain. I just need to know where my next foothold is, so to speak. Where's my next step? So we tune out of that 3D world quite a bit. So that 3D world is going to unfold in a lot of chaos. So it may be in our awareness, but it probably won't. If you're here, it's probably not even gonna touch you. But we'll just be aware and be like, man, that's crazy stuff that's going on. It's going to appear to be like a movie that's going on, and you're like, man, how does that not even like touch me? How did everyone's so afraid of that, but did they know that it doesn't have to touch you? That is our job, and I'm going to get to that in the higher dimensional realities, is to keep on climbing up in frequency, so that we can be the models of this higher reality that's happening, where this lower reality doesn't even touch you. It doesn't even exist really anymore. So the first thing, this year is going to be a year of disclosure. Now, 2021 was known as the year of disclosure, but what has been explained to me is that 2021 was the year of disclosure in consciousness. That disclosure meaning an awakening of truth. It was, a year of apocalypse. This year is going to be the year of apocalypse, but in the higher dimensional reality definition of it, which means the truth is coming into light. Okay, it's not the end of the world, it's the end of reality as we know it, but not because everybody dies and the world ends, but because a brand new reality begins. So it is going to be apocalyptic, but it's not the fearful based narrative of apocalypse. It's going to be a brand new awakening of truth and in the reality. Last year was disclosure in consciousness, in energy, in the shifting of energies. This is the year now, 2022, when we're going to see it play out, be projected out in physical reality. So the first thing that we're going to probably see more and more and more of, because we were already seeing it last year, was the disclosure on ETs and aliens, UFOs, UAPs, call them what you will, galactics, whatever it is, we're going to be seeing more and more of that. Why? Because we are not the only ones in this universe. We are not the only ones in galactic space. We haven't been. There is plenty of evidence that we aren't. It's complete arrogance and third dimensional world arrogance to think that we are the only ones that were created in billions and billions and billions of stars and galaxies and that exist. So we do know that there is existence outside of our planet. This existence happens in higher frequencies and in higher advanced, in more advanced consciousness. Therefore, they know that they cannot interfere with our planet unless we are asked. Now, there are darker, I don't want to say dense because it's not weight, but there are dark consciousnesses of ETs that have already infiltrated our planet millennia ago, that has enslaved our planet in the systems that we have now, that we live in the third dimensional world, in the matrix world, that appear to be free, but they're really not. And so all of our systems that are going to start now being dismantled, because those lower consciousnesses of frequency can no longer resonate with the higher frequencies. So they are dismantling, they are coming down. So those dark entities, so to speak, the dark beings, let's say, put it that way, that have partnered with human beings to control and manipulate and deceive and create these deceptive systems, are now being moved out. We are going to see a changing of the guard in a lot of different systems of our world, because now the new systems are coming into place and being aided by the higher consciousness, the higher beings of light that are here to help us, because we have asked. So many human beings have asked for support and help, and now we can be aided. And we have been. There's been a lot going on in consciousness behind the scenes these last few years, especially last year. So this is when we start to see this light, these new systems, and the changing of the guard start to take over some of, not some, but all of our new systems, which I'll talk about. And when that happens, then it will be in a higher reality, a higher frequency. It will be good for the good of all. They will be true, free, sovereign systems that are being created, and we will start to see some of that movement this year, with the help of galactic light beings of all kinds, all species. We've got all kinds of species here on planet Earth, and there are all kinds of species as well. We will start to be able to see them more. So in the 3D world, this will be presented. These beings will be presented with fear, that they are a threat. They will require military defenses. This is how the narrative will probably play out for this 3D world, to keep those in this world still extremely afraid. We have been set up to be afraid because of Hollywood and the movies and all the things and all the stories we've heard, and the abductions, and all the weird things that happen on abductions. But we haven't been told, until we've gone down individually, have gone down this rabbit hole, of the beautiful help that have been given, and the support and the advanced technologies that are available to us, but have been hidden by those who wanted those technologies for themselves in this restricted and controlled 3D world. They don't want to give up what they know, so we've been kept in the dark, so to speak, literally, kind of. And but as this new, it's going to be information that can no longer be kept silent. So when beings start showing up in however they come forward, we are going to be told in the 3D world that we should be afraid, that we're being attacked, and to be, to go into mass chaos. And it's also going to be a way that those who have kept this world and this existence silent, for them to save face, because there's been so much evidence now that has been revealed, that has shown contact with government agencies, that those to save face, they're going to say, well, we did it to protect people because they couldn't handle it. We were protecting them, and we were building the military defenses to do that, when in fact that is not at all true. Majority of this world has been here. Existence has come to help us and aid us in our planetary rise, because Earth is one of the densest, consciously, the densest planets in existence. So how that's going to show up in the fourth dimensional realm. So for those of us that are in the fourth dimensional realm, this is going to look like more telepathic contact. You will have more communication, because as you clear the densities of that third dimensional world, you become an open vessel, an open communicator. So you'll be able to communicate telepathically, and your training will be initiated with your individual team. We all have a team consciously that we can connect with, that will train us to bring our soul mission. Our soul mission is to support the full consciousness of our planet. So we will be helped in individually in the training and development of our skills, of our gifts, that then we move into the fifth dimensional reality of. So what's gonna be this disclosure and contact here? This is where your mission will be rolled out. You will be given your mission to, of support for the rest of humanity. So when you get to this area and you have this direct contact and you have confidence in that contact, you will be given your mission, and your mission will be to support the ascension of people from here into here. So freaking exciting, right? It's going to be a real shocker for most. Yeah. And that's why, slowly but surely, if you follow certain channels on, different off of big tech, who are censoring this information, you'll see that there are people posting sightings, there are people posting contact. It's super exciting to watch it, but there is more. The revolution of these higher realities is not going to happen in the 3D media, because that's all being censored out. So we don't know. But for those of us who are rising up, we know where to go to find more, to connect with each other. And there's this information is being shared now, and say, look what's happening over, over Australia. Look what's happening over, wherever. And this contact, the physical contact now, is being made to those who are ready and who are at the frequency, because their frequency is so much higher than ours. So we have to rise up so that they can come down into like our physical reality to see. They can't stay long because it's so damn heavy here, right? Sometimes it does feel freaking heavy here. So there's not like, you're not hanging out and like sipping drinks at the pool with them, but there is contact to say, hey, we are here. It is for real. So, your advisors then in the fifth dimensional realms, your advisors will be your team, your commanders, so to speak, so that they will lead your mission in your unique mission. Super, super excited. Okay. The other thing, another disclosure piece, is there will probably be threats of war of some kind in the third dimensional. The wars are most likely not going to happen, but they will be used to instill fear, more restrictions, but it's going to be more fluffing of the feathers. We've seen for months, my husband and I, since we've been in Ukraine, this like fluffing of the feathers and this fear of, Russia invading Ukraine. And everyone that we like, not everyone, because we haven't been talking to a lot of people, but we do know a couple of English speaking people here, and we had dinner with them one night, and she's grown up here her entire life, and she said this has been going on for so long. And yes, there has been moments in history where there's been a lot of turmoil in this part of the world, but she said, we don't know what's going to happen, but people aren't like, they're not really afraid anymore. They're more like, yeah, this always happens. So it's going to be more fluffing of the feathers, and a global, quite frankly, a global conspiracy of the shadow governments to instill fear, restrictions, and close the ability for people to move around. In the fourth dimensional, that's going to look like people realizing that this is more of a spiritual war, that the threat of physical war is a third dimensional ideology. In the fourth dimensional realm, we're going to see that more and more people are going to say, wait a minute, this is a war of consciousness. This is for you, individually. For those in the fourth dimensional, the war is the final battle, so to speak, to let go of this world, to fully release and have faith that this exists. And in this world, this is those stepping stone where you're like, what? like you can't operate in here anymore, but you don't know this quite exists yet. So this was like, I mean, I think this was my year last year, because it was just like, what am I working towards? I think this thing exists up here, but I can't go back to this world. So the war really is internally for those in the fourth dimensional world, where they are releasing all of the tethers to all of the different systems, and having the courage to cut those tethers and completely release themselves from that third dimensional world. And in the fifth dimensional, it becomes completely separate. You'll see that if there's war here, and this the lower fourth dimensional is where the war still exists within, to let go of this world. But up here, none of this doesn't touch the third dimensional world. So there's no war here, and there's no war here, because once you release this part of the third dimensional overlap and you float up here, there's nothing left to fight, right? And then you come up here and there's nothing. Yeah, once your eyes are open, you can't unsee it. You're like, I know what's happening here, so I'm not even afraid. So war is not anything to be afraid of. It's not in your existence. It's not in your consciousness. This is where a lot of that war stuff will probably happen, where, like we don't even really see it happening because we're not tuning into the media. The breakdown of the media now is going to start happening. This is the next area. The changing of the guard will happen in governments and in mainstream media. Mainstream media is already starting to collapse. We can see where, I can give examples, but I don't want, this is going to be longer and I don't want to make it too long, but there's lots of examples of how it is starting to break down. Many people who are true journalists within mainstream media are leaving and becoming independent journalists. So, and then there's a lot of arrests going on within mainstream media that are like pretty crazy. When I do tune in, I'm like, what? That's going on. That person's been doing that for a long time, and now they're being arrested. So that is starting to collapse. And in the fourth dimensional realms, independent journalism opens up doorways to more truly informed news, where you can choose to be discerning within yourself as to what is true for you and what do you feel is true. Because now the fourth dimension is where you're getting into the energetics. You're feeling more truthful knowledge versus what you've been told here. And we have been taught to believe that what you hear on the news is true. But in these last few decades, we have really seen a turn to misinformation and more propaganda than anything else. And then in the fifth dimensional world, your news is going to come from your advisory team. You're not even going to tune into reality, because here in the fifth dimensional, realities, your now moment is really all you're tuned into. You're not so worried about the future. You're certainly not worried about the past anymore. You've let all of that go. And what you need to know is what you need to know in this moment, in which you tune in and you grab your information on the fly, so to speak, from your advisory team. Okay. Let's talk about the health systems really quickly. The health systems are going to, in the 3D world, are going to continue to attempt to move everything into a global mandate, restriction, lockdown situation for a lot of different reasons. The medical mandates and controlling of the movement is really going to start to be seen by more people, but it is going to continue to attempt to be a psychological war, with the intention leading to depopulation, and that's going to be a crazy world to watch, because there's going to be some malevolent behavior and more and more mental and emotional warfare going on here. The war is here. The war is mental and physical. And in the fourth dimensional, this is where most people are going to rise up and kind of see what's happening and understand that there is a war going on. And it's not what we've seen in history, where, you're on the battlefield. The battlefield is mental, emotional, and biohazards that are being used. And in this world is where the truth of that starts to be illuminated, and then we start to make more sovereign choices about our bodies. We start to make more sovereign choices about informed consent and all of that. And in this world, there's no, there's no need for there's no need for anything outside of ourselves to keep ourselves healthy. At these higher vibrations, by the time we get up into these higher realms of the fourth and fifth dimensional realities, the densities and the illnesses, the disease, illnesses of any kind in our bodies are at such a low vibration. You can look at different illnesses, and you can look at how they vibrate, like how the cells vibrate, and they vibrate at a very low pace. So when your physical body moves into these higher realms, illness and disease and dis-ease of emotions cannot withstand these higher frequencies. That's what this world is all about. This is where you shed all of that. So many people, when they get to this fourth dimensional reality, will have disease in their bodies flare up. And if you can hold the consciousness that it is working its way out of the body, take care of it how you're called to take care of it. But there are many people who are having flare-ups of old stuff and pain and diseases. This, all of the stuff that was exacerbated down here in these lower densities, the chronic stuff. As you rise up, if you can find the power within to keep rising up in frequency, the health of the body will take care of itself, because the carbon-based body is going to go away and be replaced with a crystalline body, a light body, and these energies that we're in are clearing away much of that. So by the time you get into the higher, third realm, so to speak, of the fourth dimensional realities and above, your body won't be able to, it doesn't hold the lower densities. You are full, you are whole, healthy, and complete in that space. Okay. So overall, this world, for this year, this world is going to continue, and it's also going to ramp up in chaos, fear, deception, control. It's going to be probably much more intense than last year, because the last strongholds of those who have controlled this world, they don't want they know they're losing it. So they're going to soak out as much of they can. They're going to not soak, they're going to suck out as much resources, as much energy as they can. Energy in the form of money, energy in the form of soul sucking the consciousness out of those in this realm. So they're going to go all out. Okay. This will have some losses. There will be a lot of losses here for those who remain in this reality, y'all. The honest truth is we're going to see some losses of the physicality of people, because it just is too dense and it's getting worse, and the body just can't withstand it. Those who rise up and start to get into this realm and start to release this, they will have losses as well, but the losses are going to be what many of us have already been through. The losses of the feelings of loss from this third dimensional reality falling away, the loss of things, the loss of relationships from people who are remaining here. We have to let them go. And this is happening here. There's a big split that's happening. So families are, as we rise up, we have to make those choices of, and I've had a lot of people actually send me messages saying, what about our families? What's that all about? Well, there will be those in your family. There will be friends who just hold tight to this whole system. This is all they've known. They maybe have kind of gotten comfortable here and don't want to see what's happening. And that's where the decision comes to rise up or to stay with them. Do you rise up and let them go, knowing you will still have contact? We will still have contact with these different realms, but just the existence of life and the realities will be very, very different. So, if you have to let some people go at this point, and you keep rising up, because what is ultimately happening is, for those of us that are in these, in these areas, in these realities, It is up for us to create the physical reality of those higher fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional realities, so that we can show this world and the lower realms of the 4D that they keep working for something, because this does exist. Where those of us who are pioneers, and I say that with, we worked hard, so I don't say it with arrogance. I say it with like, man, I'm tired. Like probably a pioneer that was like taking the wagons across the U.S. trying to search for gold on the West Coast. That's what it feels like. We went searching for gold, not sure if it's going to be there, but we kept rising up. And I have a whole workshop on my website. I think it was called like anchoring in the. I don't even know what it's called, but it's on the products page of my website. But it explains the pioneers, like, as this world got too dense, we were just like, there's got to be something better, and we just started rising up, knowing, and the higher we got, then we made contact, right? We made contact, intuitive and telepathic contact with our guides that are like, yes, this exists. This is where we're taking you, but you just got to follow the pathway, even though the pathway is not lit. And now we are moving into the space. This year is when this world really starts coming into physicality. And then we give these people down here something to see. We give them, and we are here on our missions, that now we've got an advisory team that are telling us what our unique mission is to support those down here and help pull them up and out of this world that is crumbling and dismantling. So that is, I'm tired. That was a lot of talking. Let's see what you guys have to say. All triggers will have to be addressed and resolved. Yeah, in that fourth dimensional, exactly. Like that, this is, I swear to God, this 4D world, like this is where, because all the triggers are emotional triggers, right? Most of them are the emotional triggers, and that's triggering not only our own learned emotional blocks in this lifetime, but also previous lifetimes and ancestral. I've talked about it a lot on this daily tune-in. Like there's some stuff that we have to clear in those triggers. So yes, embracing the ascension symptoms. Yeah, that's where these like start to really get big. The emotional roller coaster is a symptom, plus the aches and pains, the ears ringing. I love, because the ears ringing, is really us tuning into the higher tonal patterns of frequencies. So it's kind of like down here, we were dialed into like 92.5 on the radio. Then we moved into like another frequency. We could hear something completely different, a whole different tone at 100.5. And then as we rise up, there's going to be an even more different of a tone that we literally are hearing now, because we're rising up in frequency, just like you do when you back in the old days when you tune into the radio stations, right? But once we're tuned into this, we won't even be close to hearing or seeing this reality anymore. So there's going to be this like weird thing. So if we're here, we're in these higher realities, and we're talking to family down here, their life is going to be so completely different. They may not even believe what's happening, but until they see what is happening, then they'll believe it. That's when that's when they kind of wake up and say, you know what, this is kind of getting yucky. Or this is when, some will just say, I don't have it in me. And they'll exit, because that is their soul's journey. Like this is what we have to get really good at this year as well, is with the life cycle. There's life, we're born, we live, we die, and even in our like these lifetimes that we live, there's cycles. Like I've lived many lifetimes within this physical reality of a lifetime. And when one dies, it births a new form of me. So, and that's what's going to be happening. Some will exit this physical form to go and work out their soul's karmic journey in another form. And it's really hard in this 3D world. We have really, really been misguided on what death is, and we have been led to a lot of fear around it. But again, as this happens, as this rises up, and we make contact and like really confident in the contact that we have with our angelic teams, whatever you want to call them, your guides, your whatever it is, you start to understand it more, and it becomes less and less of a scary thing and more of a beautiful sacred thing. That's been my experience with it. Sometimes, let's see, could they be playing a role that actually helps others wake up? Yeah, I think so, Trish, but who's they? Playing a role. Just, I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying, but I think the answer is yes. I'm feeling a yes, but I just want to just, before I explain anything or go into that. Sometimes wish I knew Morse code. I know there are messages in the dots and dashes of the ringing. That's interesting too, because I've seen dots and dashes on the Schumann resonance. On some of the spikes that come in, there's dots and dashes. I think I did a post on this. I mean, it's been weeks ago now, but there is. I was trying to like decipher it, but then I'm not that detail oriented, and I was like, it says something really good. But yes, that's a really cool, and you can Google that kind of DuckDuckGo. Screw Google. Probably get in trouble because of all that, but go to DuckDuckGo and pull up Morse code and allow that to come out, or you can decipher Morse code that way. Lori, oh, ouch. I don't know if you were on here yet, if you heard the piece about the densities being worked out, lady. We can talk offline on that, but I've gotten some pretty good clarity on the densities with it, physically and obviously emotionally. We know we've been working through, but in this, as we rise up into these areas, the densities and disease in the body spikes up to be eliminated, to be, to what's the word? It's kind of like when I'm trying to come up with a metaphor. So when you have grass has to grow high to be able to be cut down. So in order for the light to eliminate the density, the physical densities, it kind of has to grow in order to be, to be able to be high enough for the light to get into it and through it and around it. So I do believe that is the case for my friends who are having some disease, and that is the light. That's what I hold. That this is a purging of that from the system. So it's not positive thinking. I truly am getting the message, and that's what this is. Jay says, ringing in the ears is usually my angel speaking to me in my left ear and spirit guides or deceased people in my right ear. Yeah, we'll all have our unique understanding of what the ringing is. But as we rise up into this fourth dimensional and that contact is made, we will get to know then, like, what does this mean? Because I have the same, similar communication style as well. Those who choose to stay in 3D. Oh yeah, could they be playing a role that actually helps others wake up? Yeah, I think we all started in that 3D world, and there was someone in. I see there is some. I'm kind of getting now a message. Yes, so some will have to stay in this 3D world in order to wake others up. And my experience was that I had to have someone really, really grounded and anchored into that 3D world to live in the density of it and the fear of it, to project his own fear and to project his own densities out on me, for me to finally be like, wait a minute, like, I bought it for a long time. These densities down here are abusive. So a lot of the people in the 3D world are projecting the abuse they have within, the abuser that is within them, out onto others. So this 3D world is an abusive place, right? I believe our systems are abusive in many cases. The control and the deception in narcissistic people in our lives and in our systems and in this world are very much there to awaken. After you take so much of it, you finally are like, you know what, F this, I'm not taking this anymore. I'm going to start waking up. And then, yes, and those will help awaken people and to rise up a little bit. So difficult walking away, especially when folks you're walking from want an explanation. Yeah, that was my reality this year. Because I think a lot of us who are in this path have been empaths, and we want to be kind and we want to be gentle and we want people to understand, and we stay too long to help them understand. And again, I'm talking from experience here. And it got to a point with that person in my own life that was really freaking dense and who is still freaking dense. Um, to I finally was just like, you know what? I don't owe you any explanation at this point. I have tried, and if you don't get it yet, you're not going to get it. And then it was ascending and walking away from that. That so much understanding took place where I was like, he was never going to get it. And you know what? By walking away from that, I don't ever hear from him anymore, and he should be a pretty pivotal part of my life because, we have an overlapping interest in this life, but he's gone away. He doesn't talk anything because I don't give him what he wants, which is my energy. And the energy that we give to somebody in trying to explain ourselves is them just sucking it out. The energy in which we give to others, to narcissists, to the media, the energy we give, they will just keep taking it and taking it and taking it until we finally rise up and walk completely away. And they got nothing. Like, there's no projection. As long as we stay in their field, we meet them and we go back and forth and back and forth. But rising up, I have found, like, when he talks now, it goes right underneath me. And I don't mean like, I'm better or whatever. There are days my ego wants to tell me I am better, but but I'm rising up. I'm still rising up. But I'm just kidding, and I'm not. And we're all human in this, but we're still working out. I'm still working out things around this individual. But like the things that I'm learning about the experience that I had, and I spent like teens of years, 15, 16 years of my life with this individual, and just always having to explain and be kind and to nurture and do my best. But when I finally rose up and now he speaks and it goes right underneath me, it doesn't have the effect anymore. And to the point where he just stopped trying. I'm like, what? It could have been that easy. But since then, I spent so long trying that as long as I tried to keep explaining and he didn't get it, it then buried resentment within me, and it built anger. And now that this is gone, but I'm here, there's still, in that fourth dimensional phase, I'm still clearing a lot of that anger, and it's mostly at myself. I want to project it on him, but it's at myself for trying to explain something that someone that is very much grounded in the 3D realm is never going to hear, because this is where we are ingrained in the battle, the fight, the fear, the control, the manipulation. This is that frequency. That's how that works. So as long as you're in, trying to explain to someone who's very much anchored in there, it's never going to work. So that's why we just have to rise up, and this eventually goes away. But that's the hardest part to realize, especially when we have loved people deeply and we invested our energy and our time with them. That's the rub. That's where it's like sandpaper sometimes rising up in these ascension symptoms. I honestly feel like the universe has slowly been helping me leave behind those that are not a vibrational match. Yeah, forgive yourself. Yeah, Trish, thank you for saying that. I have to remind myself of that. Because that's what, my work, my last remaining, I don't know if it's my last remaining work, but the one that I can feel the most is the forgiveness I need to give myself on that particular relationship. But the other thing that I have noticed is what you just said, Trish, is I've noticed that things have gotten easier too to walk away from. Like I don't spend time at all anymore. I notice explaining myself, even with my husband. I'm like, if you don't get it, then and like our stuff just kind of like resolves itself easily, because we don't have the whole I got to be right, you have to be wrong, or vice versa anymore. It's just kind of like, here's what you just said that it hurt my feelings, and I'm just gonna tell you, and then it's done. It's getting easier and easier to just let things go. Even comments, people comment on stuff that I do online, and some of it's nasty, and it used to like really affect me, but I'm noticing that I'm just like, nah, you don't have my perspective, so you don't understand, and walking away. And this past year was really letting go of some close relationships that have really helped me to feel that pain and know that it was the right thing. And so I don't feel the pain anymore. I just know it's the right thing. We're out of resonance, and that's a science thing, and it's a quantum physics thing, and it just happens. And I have very few friends left that I used to have like tons of friends, and many have gone silent. It hasn't been this big dramatic thing, but it's just the resonance isn't there anymore. It doesn't mean anything bad. It's just I'm moving on, and I'll meet you, in the world when our realities cross again, and I'll be super excited. But for now, we have to let go. Yes, bye bye bye. I love that saying. It's kind of annoying sometimes, but I think it's funny because I'll say it to my husband. I'm like bye. Okay, that is all I've got. That was a long daily tune in. Again, building the foundation for how we maneuver. So there's going to be all kinds, like we kind of um cross the big bullet points of like, here's what we might see. We'll probably see some form of this, but it'll be really interesting to watch this year unfold in all of the different realities that we exist. Yes, there's three main ones, but there's like all kinds of different resonances even within here. And as we go in the ascension bank, I'm going like the ascension bank is a repository of consciousness. Like, we're going to come together. I'm about to put the events for this month in out. Oh, I just saw a little thing fly by. Did y'all see that? But anyway, a little orb. But the Ascension Bank is where what I'm going to do now is on every Wednesday is I'm going to have a gathering, more so of a conversational gathering where we come together as a community and we talk about all of this stuff. So as things unfold in our realities, we can come in and talk through them and understand them more and have a community to surround this conversation of ascension. So I'm going to shift some things for those of you who are on here that are in the Ascension Bank. I'm going to shift things a little bit, kind of make it a little bit more, not a little, I'm going to make it more robust and more community oriented so we can really gather around each other and become, for those of us who are shedding friends and shedding people and shedding family, there's a point where we want to come together and discuss this thing. And of course, I will also be supporting with hypno meditations, and the other events that we're already doing in there. And just we'll be gathering here every day at 4 o'clock my time. It's whatever time it is for you. We'll be going live. They won't be this long, but I really wanted to set the tone for 2022 and get us all on the same page, have a baseline of information so we build onto here. And if you have liked this, if you get value out of this, y'all, I do this for free. However, I would like to ask that you like and you subscribe, you share these, because this is how this movement happens. This movement is not going to be streamed on mainstream media. We are going to get lots of fear. How we can bring peace and unify humanity into these higher realms and to invite them into these higher realms of consciousness is by spreading information like this and sharing it. So I'm asking that your return on your investment of time here, if it's helpful to you, is to like it and share it, because that helps the channel grow, and it also helps us unite together and multiply with the there are people with a lot bigger platforms than I have. But if we can just all unite, this is our missions now. Like, each individual person is spreading their light, and all of those tentacles go out and start to unify people, so that as these events come up and people go into fear and chaos, someone's tentacle can reach out and pull those 3D people. Because although we have been trying to save our 3D friends and family, it may not be us, because they're going to see us as we've always been. But it might be another tentacle, another light of some sort that can hit them in a different perspective and in a different way. And that's the only way we're going to reach them, is by sharing each other's content, by helping each other turn each other on to other beacons of light. We are here to be that. We are the revolution that is not going to be televised. There's a beautiful song that I love about that. And I believe it fully. It's not going to be televised because there's no interest in televising something that is trying to pull us away from those that divide and control. So thank you. First time listening to you. You have done an excellent job. Thanks, Allison, for being here. I appreciate that. This is so fun. I love doing this, you guys. Thank you. My voice is a little bit funky and sun's gone, but I'm so excited. There is some sun, and we started this whole thing out with the sun shining, and I'm glad you guys got to see it here from Ukraine. I will see you all tomorrow. Hopefully all of you. Whoever. We'll have another little party. Bye, you guys. Love you.